I don't know. What am I saying? Who are you? What's your name?
I don't know.
What do people
I don't know.
need to know?
Maybe we should go and listen to other podcasts and see how they start. Hello, welcome to Le Pod. It's a brand new podcast we're going to be putting out from down here in the basement of Le Pub twice a month. We're going to be talking to our staff, our community, local bands, local artists, and anyone we think is interesting.
Yes, welcome to episode number 2 of Le Pod. I'm not even sure how the first one went down yet, because I'm recording this before we released it, but we're going to be optimistic and go ahead and release another one. We'll just carry on as if the first one's a success and gone viral regardless, because episode 2's guest is pretty sick. 2 episodes in and we already have our first international guest. Our guest today is the stand-up bass player in Larry His Flask. If you haven't heard of them, number 1, you should have. Number 2, they are a bluegrass punk or post-Americana, as it says on their Wikipedia page. Who knows if they wrote it themselves or not. But yeah, bluegrass punk outfit from Oregon. They've been around since 2003 and they've recorded 5 studio albums in that time, so they've done some work. They've toured the world with artists such as Frank Turner, Dropkick Murphys and Streetlight Manifesto, and he's currently doing some solo work at the moment. He's got 3 singles out. That's wrong, he's got 2 singles out and a third on the way, and we might even have a little sneak preview of that 3rd single before it drops if you stick around. But he can talk about his own stuff far better than I'm able to, so I'll let him do it. I realise at this point in the introduction that I haven't even said his name. Today's guest is Jeshua Marshall of Larry His Flask. I've got a few little sneak peeks from the conversation for you here, a few of the choicest morsels, if you will. Talk about things such as...
And we had ours like in this park, and the Proud Boys found out about it, and all these Trump supporters showed up to the same park to have theirs. He would be like just drinking, and we'd be like, "What? Wow, this like I guess this is how they do it in Europe. It's cool to have a few glasses of wine and drive, I guess." We've definitely had like been at shows where we've been sharing the bill with like rappers and hip hop people and been like, "Yo, come bust a verse or like freestyle or whatever."
I realised upon listening back to the intro from last week's episode that I was a bit forward in just going in for the "if you like us, give us some money" angle. I'm not going to completely desert that angle, to be fair. If you do like what you hear and you do fancy giving us a few pennies, you can head on over to ko-fi.com, that's kofi.com/LePod, and you can give us a little monetary tip. But failing that, just listening to the episode would be pretty sick. We'd appreciate that. On top of that, give us a review, maybe, and a step even further, subscribe. That'd be sick, and it would put a smile on my face. And without further ado, no more from me. Here is the conversation with Jesse Marshall of Larry His Flask.
That is weird. I won't do that again. I don't want to hear you swallow.
There you go. No, you're in my head.
Oh, I did the slurp as well.
Now you are in my head.
Yay!
Right on. Yeah, sorry about that. I checked my phone at like 9:15 and I saw your message. I'm like, oh shit! And then I'm like, I thought it was at 10.
It is at 10. We just got the time difference
Oh, okay.
wrong.
Yeah, I think it was
Okay,
us.
cool.
Our fault.
Okay.
No
worries.
Why do you want to
Hope
do
that
it at
didn't
10? Are you an early riser?
Yeah, I've been up for 4 hours already. I've written a song.
Oh, wow.
So just try to get the day started early.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, and I figured I don't know what time you guys have your evening stuff going on. Didn't want to take up that time.
We don't have any stuff. We don't have customers anymore.
No.
We just have a lockdown pub with no one in it. It's
Damn.
It's shit.
Damn. Yeah. I guess it's kind of different everywhere, but what's like the climate of the COVID stuff and the regulations in Newport?
So has he gone?
Oh, yeah, I think he's gone.
Have we lost him?
Yeah. Jesse,
Oh, he's gone.
come back.
What the actual fuck? That was so. I didn't
What's
even.
going on?
I don't know. I didn't even touch my phone. It just went blank. I was like,
Oh well.
Oh, we're back.
So, God damn
But
it.
yeah, Newport
Sorry.
restrictions. We're not allowed singing. We're not allowed dancing. We're not allowed live music.
No.
We're not allowed to let the customers sing. We're not allowed to let them sit at tables unless they're from the same house.
Can't even close the doors. So
Yeah,
it's
we can't even close
freezing
the doors,
upstairs.
so it's so cold.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
It's
Damn.
fucked. It's completely fucked.
That's
Yeah.
nuts. Is the government like assisting you guys and like helping folks?
No, and we have to close at 10 p.m. now too. That's
Damn.
it. Close the doors at 10 p.m. It's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Word. Yeah,
What's it like in Oregon?
Well, like the county we live in, Deschutes County, in I live in Bend, is the city, but we have kind of low cases. And Oregon's
right.
a little bit lower than other places, so it's kind of different. But we've been able to do music like all through the summer, at least like outside, because we have a lot of it's like brewery culture. Like there's like all these micro breweries all over, so they're kind of used to doing music like in the summer out in the patios and on like outside. So throughout the summer it's been okay. I've actually been playing quite a bit, maybe like 3 or 4 times a week, which super blessed and lucky to be able to do that.
The last gig we had was the 14th of March. It's the last time we had a gig.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And it feels every bit as long as it sounds.
It's like an ache in my heart right now, an actual ache in my heart whenever I think about live music.
Fuck. Yeah. What about the academies and stuff? Are they trying to do like, are the bigger venues trying to do spaced out things?
There's been like 1 or 2, but people just hate them, so they're just not doing them.
No.
Damn. Yeah, I've seen. There's do you know Billy Strings? It's like he's like a kind of a bluegrass, like just like a virtuoso guitar player and musician, kind of blowing up in the States right now. But he just did a tour, I think on the East Coast of like put together these drive-in concerts where they have
we've had a couple of them.
Okay, that's cool. So
I think remember last time you played La Pub, Sean played.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He did the UK's only drive-in gig. I think the rest of them got cancelled. Yeah.
Oh wow.
That was like he did like the first one, and then there wasn't many more, and yeah.
Damn.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
Are there a few of those kind of drive-in gigs where you are?
I've heard of one. There was a series in Austin, I think, and then I heard about his on the East Coast, and then we're actually with a buddy who, my friend Caleb, he has this production company called Going Left, and we're throwing a couple like this week, or I'm sorry, next Friday and the following Friday here in Bend, and I'm playing it and kind of helping produce it and like book the music for it. So
sick.
We'll kind of see how that goes, and we're hoping to develop it into a weekly series maybe next year. But once it gets cold, which is coming soon, we're going to be
quick.
Yeah.
But I guess you guys in the States have kind of a culture of drive-in cinema and drive-in events already, so you may have a head start on us.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, the car culture is a lot bigger here. Everybody's got a giant fucking truck and all that. So
there was a gig here where they like built everyone a pen basically. So like you and 6 friends could like sit in your pen on deck chairs with your beers, and it almost looked like really good, because I hate bumping into people and I hate being crowded, and I was like, I could live in a little like 8x8 pen with a bottle of vodka and a band in front of me.
No, I love being in the crowd.
No, I'd love just sit there and watch. Just really relax.
Yeah, maybe that maybe a little bit of that will stay after things open back up.
Just have like pens for people like me at the back.
But I genuinely think though, like I can't imagine going in a mosh pit again.
No.
Like I can't believe that we ever did that, just being surrounded by
Sweat.
Sweaty people everywhere.
I think about when the pub was busy.
Yeah.
And we used to have to push through people, like touching every single person, like, excuse me.
Yeah.
It's just, there's definitely going to be like a lot of social anxiety about like getting close to people again.
Yeah, I for sure have had like panic attacks, like in the past, like when we'd play like big shows, like opening for like Dropkick Murphys and stuff, and I'd be trying to get from one side of the venue to the other, like, and I was like, we were getting high and then just having like a panic attack and be like, why are all these people here? And I'm like, I just like went back into the green room and like hid.
I think like I do worry about it. Like, we're going to have this massive social anxiety, but then I also think once you put a mosh pit in front of someone, they're just going in.
Oh, for sure.
They're just going in. Going in.
Straight in. Yeah.
And then we just have to, I reckon, like maybe venues will have to have showers.
Maybe.
So people can go for showers and change their clothes after
just like
gigs.
those chambers in like sci-fi films where you just get like sprayed down.
You get deloused.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the ones they have in like theme parks where it sprays cold water on hot days.
Yeah.
But it sprays disinfectant and you just walk through it on your way out of the venue.
Maybe we should patent this.
Yeah, we should patent it and put it in.
There you go.
We'll be the first venue in Britain to have it.
You could test it at LA Pub.
Yeah, because you guys in Larry His Flask, you were always like in the crowd at your gigs. Like, do you think you'd be more hesitant to do that? Would you be even able to do that now?
Yeah, I don't even know. It's such a gray area. I mean, I think it's just gonna take like time to see what happens. What, like, if the vaccine, when that comes out, is like, just, if people take it, because I don't know if there's this culture in the UK, but in the States, there's all these hippies that are like anti-vaccinators and think it's like causing autism, and which it,
anti-maskers as well. Do you have anti-maskers?
Oh yeah, they had
of course you do. I've seen it in the news. Like, what the fuck?
They had we have all flavors of stupid here.
It's just like, the main thing that bothers me about the anti-maskers is that, like, as someone that's attended like massive political rallies and anarchist activities, the fact that we're now allowed to wear masks without getting stopped and asked why we're wearing masks, the government doesn't want us wearing masks.
Yeah, you have to wear a mask, and like, just like,
it's bonkers. The government must be fucking hating it.
Yeah, for sure. I think last year in the States they passed, I don't know if it was like nationwide, but in some states they were passing laws to make it like illegal to wear a mask for that, because of protesters,
just
or whatever.
Like hide your identity kind of thing.
Yeah. They made it illegal.
And now they're making
and
us
now
wear
you
masks. These people are saying that's government control. That's not what they want.
No,
they don't want us hiding our faces. If they're telling us to, there's a bloody good reason.
Yeah, for sure. People are.
I was going to ask you about. Oh, go on. Sorry.
Oh no, I just people are silly. They just don't. They jump on a bandwagon and don't want to like really look into the facts of a situation. So
for sure, man. I was going to ask you about that. Like, how are things in America right now? Like, from the media, like, it's super just divided and scary, and everyone's at each other's throats. Is it that bad, or?
I mean, the media, I'm sure, paints it maybe in a one kind of way, maybe to like, make people more panic, but yeah, it's intense. Like, even like, I live in a small town, or a small city anyway. There's like maybe 100,000 people here, and we're very rural. So like, the closest actual city is Portland, and that's like a 3-hour drive over a mountain.
Right, because it's pretty crazy in Portland right now, right?
Yeah, Portland's putting up a big resistance, big time.
Yeah.
But I haven't gotten up there much. We were there one time, but we didn't go to the protests or anything.
No.
But yeah, there's
on the streets every night for months, right?
Yeah, since June. It's like 140 days of nonstop protesting.
It's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
It's incredible.
So cool.
It's really beautiful to see that. But yeah, like even here where this town is like something like 90, I think like 92 or 93% white or something, or maybe more like 90% like white.
Yeah.
And it's kind of it's an interesting place because this town it's pretty liberal, pretty left leaning, and people are like kind of progressive, but they're also, it's more of like a facade in a lot of ways because they're
Right.
progressive, but they're very much like the NIMBYs, you know, like not in my backyard kind of folks that
Right.
like up kind of upper middle class and some like wealthier folks. But it just seems like they haven't really made an actual effort to like address things. And since George Floyd was killed in Minneapolis, and it sparked uprisings all over the country, like
All over
All
the
over the
world.
world.
yeah,
Yeah.
all over the world, yeah. Um, but yeah, we had a few organizations like come together, and there's been quite a few demonstrations and protests, and I don't know if you've heard of the Proud Boys, but they're
Yeah. Yeah. Recently at the Trump debate thing.
yeah,
But did
yes,
you see the way that they had their hashtag taken over on Twitter?
Oh, by
By like hundreds
the
of gay
TikTok
by
people.
gay
people.
men,
Hundreds
yeah.
of gay people.
Oh, really?
If you put
Ah,
hashtag Proud Boys
yeah.
into Twitter now, it's just amazing stories of gay love, and it's fucking
That's
beautiful.
amazing.
So good.
Oh,
And then
I hate
somebody
that.
said they were going to change their name to the Leatherman,
Oh, right.
and then that just became a whole thing of like gays weering leather.
That's
But
gay
then
right
that turns out that was a
there.
hoax anyway, and I was like, damn it, I wished it was true.
That would have been good.
The Leatherman. That's funny because I don't know if you guys have those, but the Leatherman, it's like a brand of like multi-tool. Yeah.
Multi-tool.
Yeah.
Matt's lost two, and they're really expensive. He's on
Yeah,
his
they're
third one
really
now.
nice. They're a great tool. But yeah, like last weekend, last Saturday, the Trumpers, they had a rally here. The Proud Boys organized, and there was like an anti anti-discrimination, anti-racist like gathering as well.
Yeah.
And we had ours like in this park, and the Proud Boys found out about it, and all these Trump supporters showed up to the same park to have theirs. And
No way.
yeah, and it got tense. Like I was there early and I had a gig, so I left. But when I was there, it was pretty mellow. But
Yeah.
later on in the day, they're just like idiots. They're drinking, and they pulled a gun out on
man.
on my friend, and my friend had to spray them with mace, and the cops came, and the cops like strangled a black girl, pulled her on the ground, and we've been, in fact, today I think there's a protest at the police station to demand that
Yeah.
this cop that abused his power gets fired. And so yeah, I mean, it's just it's definitely, it's just something that hasn't been dealt with yet somehow, like
Yeah.
over these centuries of abuse and
Yeah, literally centuries. Yeah.
yeah.
How do you feel about the upcoming election? Do you think that's going to make things better or worse?
I mean, I think it's gonna be interesting for sure. I mean, I think if Joe Biden gets elected, I think it will be better in the long term, at least over the
Yeah.
next year. But I mean, I think there will still be some. I'm sure that it's not going to stop these folks from. They were organized. The Proud Boys existed for a while before this, you know.
They've
when
been
Obama
woken up now, haven't they? They've been
Mm.
like quietly existing and ashamed to admit their own existence, and now they've been given this license
For
to be
sure.
outwardly fucking vile.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
another thing that worries me is like Trump's already making noises about if he loses the election, then it must be fake.
Yeah. And
So
it's
he's not going to
gonna-
fucking leave anyway.
Mm.
Right. Yeah, that's the main concern here is like what, like we've been lucky that we haven't had a president to do that yet, to be like straight up pull some dictator shit and
Yeah.
say
I
no,
think it's
I'm not
coming.
leaving. But it could, yeah, it's shaping up to be that, you know.
Yeah.
It's like
That'd be a huge escalation though. That's like full on. civil
He's
war
already
kind of
making
thing.
noises about how he
Yeah.
doesn't trust postal votes. So if he loses on postal votes, he's not leaving because it's not real and things. He's already said that in an interview, and it's like, what the?
Right.
Because Matt is obsessed with reading Trump's interviews. I don't know why.
Really?
He's absolutely obsessed with it. He wakes me up to tell me things that Trump's tweeted, and I'm like, it's 4 a.m. I'm fast asleep, mate.
Like, go to bed.
Yeah, he's like lying next to me in bed, and I'm like, I don't care. Leave me alone.
Well,
Just the
it's
phrase that you
entertainment.
use then, the things that Trump's tweeting is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
That
The
the president of
president-
America communicates via Twitter.
I also think that it's ridiculous that he had this coronavirus, but no one believes he had it.
Well, no one
Because
believes Boris had it either.
The two men that run like two of the most powerful nations in the world have zero credibility, and that's where we're at as a society. Is that no one even believes our fucking leaders when they say they're ill? How indicative is that of the way that society is utterly screwed? It's screwed.
Yeah, as soon as it was announced that he had corona, everybody's first thought was like, oh, he's just fucking making this up for some political stunt, just to like.
He's gonna say he's cured by a drug that he owns, isn't he?
Probably.
Because he's already said that he's cured by a drug that he's not going to release until after the election.
Was already said.
Yeah, he's talking about how this drug saved him, but he's got an election to get on with. So once he's won the election, he's going to release this drug, and he owns the patent, and everyone can have it for free if he's president.
Why would he not release it now? Well, millions of people are dying.
Because he
doesn't have it. He doesn't even have it. It's like,
that's the real answer.
I think so. Because all the shit he was saying before about, I forgot what it's called, hydrochloroquine or whatever.
I can't say it either. I know the word, but who knows how to say it?
However it's pronounced. He was saying that was like the cure, and the doctors were like, no, it's not. It's like, no, that actually makes you worse, so don't take it. Like, it's
scary times.
Yeah, it's, I mean, I think our leaders have always been full of shit, right? But like now we're just fucking constantly fed this shit, and like with the way Facebook and social media is set to just completely divide us. They target, like, if you like, you like some far right post or whatever, you like something about Brexit, they're gonna, now everything in your feed is gonna be about Brexit or be about Trump, and then you'll just only
see that stuff.
And then you're just fully indoctrinated into it, and you're thinking that it's true because you're reading it on the internet. And same thing for whatever the left, but I think people that tend to like drift towards progressive ideology or maybe a little more, I don't know, maybe I'm just biased, but it seems like maybe a little more educated, maybe a little more like fact checking, but at the same time it's creating this divide where it's like in small areas here where there's the racists they're racist because they're ignorant, because they're poor and they don't have access to like proper education. The education here is very limited. Like public education is pretty much bullshit. You don't really learn the history of this nation. You don't really learn the extent and the history of slavery. So they only know what is around them, which is just other people that believe the same thing. So they've never really spent any time with people of color and just have these judgments and these biases. And so it's easy for them to just be like, like, you know what, like, fuck Black Lives Matter, and like whatever, like all lives matter, whatever they're saying, and get all pissed off. And it's like you're actually, but they're actually being oppressed the same. That's the whole, it's like, they don't give a fuck about you. All they use poor white people in this country for is fucking fodder for the war. Like when I was in high school, the Iraq war had just started, in Afghanistan too. And there was like every day at lunch, there's just recruiters for the Navy and for the Army and for the Air Force. And they're just recruiting people in my like rural, like impoverished school district. And like half of my fucking class joined the military.
Yeah,
and it was
I
like
had the exact same thing. I didn't even realize it at the time. Like, army, cool. Like, you don't realize that. They're trying to sign you up to go and fight someone's war and possibly die. Like, you just, it's another career on careers day kind of thing.
Right? Like it's a career, but it's they don't care. That's the thing. Is like, it's like, I hope these folks like realize it's like, they're just using this shit to divide you. And it's, if people on both sides could come together and like actually just talk and understand like what's really going on and find out what they have in common, and then unite, and we can maybe actually change the system and fucking rehaul it, like make it better so it actually functions for average
there's a
people.
line in there's a British singer-songwriter called Grace Petrie, and there's a line in one of her songs that says, in this troubled world, everybody is someone's bad guy. And it's true, because it just fucking depends which side you're on.
Yeah.
And we're all being like put on these sides, and none of us are actually bad guys.
Yeah.
But we are actually all the bad guys.
Someone else's bad guy. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Screwed.
Yeah.
Have you seen that documentary that just came out recently on Netflix? I think it's called The Social Dilemma.
Yeah,
I haven't seen
watched
it yet.
Recently. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's good.
trip,
I
right?
really liked it, but I didn't like the dramatization bit
Oh,
where they like
yeah,
have this
that where
fake
the-
family and stuff. I'm
Yeah.
like the
Oh,
points you're raising are
cheesy.
really cool, and I liked it.
Yeah.
I thought that was a bit far.
Yeah, it was kind of cheesy in that aspect, but it was
But the points it was making.
right. Yeah, it was like, I think things that are noticeable, but then when you hear them coming from the mouths of the folks that like created these things and are now like actually like we need to do something about this because it's gone out of control.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because like we think that these like social media networks are broken or whatever. Like this isn't how it was supposed to be, but that's how it was designed. Like
Right.
this is always the way it was supposed to be, to just harvest our details and stuff and just divide people.
Right. What I'm gonna misquote it, but one of the lines that caught me in it was like, if you're not paying for a product, then you're the product.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah, it's not free, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. Like the cost is all of your information and your whole personality, because they just are engineering us.
Sold to people that you don't even know. Like who knows who that information is going to. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. To the highest bidder, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Like does all this kind of current climate affect your songwriting, or do you try to keep that separate from the realities we're living in?
No, it definitely affects my songwriting. I'm of the school of songwriter to just I think that as artists are I think even if we don't try, but like we paint a picture of what we're going through and what humanity's going through, and I write usually from my own experience and perspective, and I'm relatively active politically, and it's definitely in my songs, like big time. Even when I don't want it to be necessarily, I'm like try to just.
What else is there? I know.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. I appreciate like fantasy writing and stuff, but at the end of the day, like I want like more like nonfiction, at least what I ingest.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Do you think that are you of the kind of school of thought that music can make a difference in these kind of issues, or is it just a form of entertainment?
No, I think music is very powerful. I mean, I know like I grew up in a very like conservative family, like very Christian and like very oppressive in a lot of ways, and still like loving folks or whatever, but I learned like a lot of my ideology and way to like process things and information from punk rock and hip hop and rock and roll, like that, like those are the messages that inspired me to inspired my thinking process more than anything, is through music, especially punk.
Yeah. So I guess even if the music itself can't change things, then like you say, the music can form who people are, and then those people go on and change things. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think so. I mean, I think maybe I think in some ways music can change people, like kind of the people I was talking about earlier, like people that are maybe limited to their environment, whether it be like rural, poor white folks or people in the inner cities, like just to be able to hear something, to have access to another culture sonically, and then to like that can help bridge the gaps of like maybe erase some of the hatred, because it's like, oh, if I love these people's music, like that's, I know some people can hate, like love the music but still hate the people that wrote it, you know, somehow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a very powerful tool.
Yeah, builds connections at least. Yeah. So we kind of jumped straight into like the deep topics. For people listening who might not even know Larry and His Flask, tell us a bit about it. Tell us a bit about your sound, because it's a very like a mix of different genres and influences and stuff. How would you describe Larry and His Flask?
I don't know. That's always
just
been a
just
hard
the fact
one.
that you hesitate means that it's a more difficult question than it might seem.
Yeah, I mean, we always struggle with like what genre we fit into, and I feel like we kind of created our own genre in some ways, you know, with like a lot of different influences being brought together and blended into one thing. But our I think the main theme was always just high energy and
yeah.
I think the first time we got an email asking to book these guys, they were described as bluegrass punk. And I was like, bluegrass punk? Yeah. I am going to listen to that.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah, that's like the one I fall back on usually when I'm like describing it as like, yeah, bluegrass punk, because it's like bluegrass with drums and way faster.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's got like a punk ethos as well, I think.
I feel
it's more of a punk ethos than genuine, like, you know, bluegrass. It's
for sure.
It's the way you traveled and hit the road and did all the DIY ethics behind it, made it more punk than standard.
Well, because you play a stand-up bass in the band, yeah?
Yeah.
And you play it like as if you're in Slipknot or whatever. Like, I've never seen anyone play the stand-up bass like that. It's crazy.
Word.
Like, that in itself just shows you what kind of band it is.
Word. Yeah,
which is sick.
We just got bored. Like, I was personally just bored by watching stand-up bass players just kind of like don't just kind of stand there, and I was like, I'm gonna fuck this up.
Isn't it heavy though? Like, were you out dragging that thing around?
I'm sure I have like a disc, like injured, like ruptured discs in my back from it, but
worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because like you guys play mainly like acoustic instruments, plugged in usually.
Yep.
So you would expect a certain kind of sound, but then like you've played Warped Tour and things like that. Was that fun? Like, do you feel like the odd one out sometimes, or you just kind of go in and we are Larry and His Flask and we're here to play kind of thing?
Yeah, we were definitely the odd one out, especially on Warped Tour, but we were embraced like big time. By the other bands and the audience and the production staff and everything. They welcomed us in big time. And you know, we're not like the first ones to like take acoustic instruments and play them way louder than they were supposed to be played. You know, like the Pogues are kind of feel like it's kind of the godfathers of that. And then, you know, Flogging Molly, Dropkick Murphys, they really like took the torch, at least like in the States. And we definitely followed in those guys like footprints and kind of in their took that momentum of taking folk music and turning it up in a sense.
Turning it up to 11.
Yeah, exactly.
Man. And you're working on solo stuff right now, yeah?
Yeah. Yep.
Is that in a similar vein as well, or are you kind of doing some different stuff? Or
it's a little different, man.
Like the smoke from the fire below. We are high posts, we need to get to know. I serve the sound waves back to the coast. I'll rest my head on an obsidian stone. There's a song playing deep inside my bones. Life of a snake, no bitterness, no hate. We don't have time to second guess our fate. Ride like a drifter on a lonely freight train. Earthquakes might shake us for a while. Be still with the wind, my days a child. Going back home all alone. Our hearts tell a story our minds will never know.
Kind of approaching each song a little differently. I've teamed up with my buddy Todd Rosenberg. He's the drummer for Mad Caddies, if you're familiar with that band.
Yeah.
And he's producing and drumming on it. And I've been collaborating with some friends in Go-Go Bordello. I just released a track,
nice.
A political kind of themed track, just about what's going on right now. And with Pedro Arazo from Go-Go Bordello. And
that's cool.
Released 2 singles so far this year, and I have another one set to release on the 30th of October. And
Nice.
I've just
under
been kind
what
of
name is that under your own name?
Just
or?
Jeshua Marshall. Yeah, you can find it on Spotify,
Awesome.
Apple Music, Tidal, everywhere.
Sick. Check it out.
Plug. Insert.
To play some on the podcast.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we'll play it.
Cool.
So Sam was telling me a little bit about the first time that you guys played Le Pub, and like it sounds amazing. I want to hear the full story. Tell us about the first time you played Le Pub.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you from like my hazy recollection. I was thinking about this when you guys asked me to be on the podcast. I'm like, it brought back memories of sitting in Heathrow for fucking 10 hours. So it was our first time ever like playing outside of North America, and we maybe we played in Hawaii before that, but we fly in, we're just fucking pumped. We didn't sleep at all because we flew like Virgin or something, and we had like unlimited drinks, so we were just all up, just like, we're going to Europe, like just getting fucking shit faced, and we're like, we'll sleep later, and we got there, and then we're like, went through immigration and checked in and like got our shit, and then we were like, just like, okay, where's our driver? Our driver was coming from Prague to pick us up with the gear of the van, and like we're just sitting there like, okay. This dude is fucking like 10 hours late. Like
10 hours.
Yeah.
What? Why? Where was he?
I mean, he said that there was some like accident in Berlin or something, and it like shut down the Autobahn. But after spending like this was the first show of a 2-month long tour of Europe.
Yeah.
And like after getting to know him, he probably was just like asleep or doing some weird shit and fucking fucked up, because he was like just such a character. Like every day at tour, like he would be like just drinking, and we'd be like, what? Oh, this like I guess this is how they do it in Europe. It's cool to have a few glasses of wine and drive, I guess. And then people like other bands we'd be playing with, and like promoters would be like, is that your driver? Like, is he drinking?
Just drinking
and we're
at
like,
the bar?
Yeah, we're like, I thought that was. They're like, what the fuck? We're like, okay. but yeah. So anyway, he gets there. Like, I guess we've got in the morning, probably like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. We waited at Heathrow, just like like hung over now at this point, just like heaped over on our bags, like sleeping, just like constantly going outside to check and look for a van. And we didn't really have like our phones, like we were kind of connected to the internet and didn't have his number or anything. Finally, he shows up, I think at like 7 o'clock at night, picks us up. We're already like, I think by the time he picked us up, we were already supposed to be like at least sound check.
Sound check was at 5.
So the pub was the first date on that tour.
Yeah, very first.
Oh, man. And you were still at Heathrow at 7.
Yeah.
What time did we get? I think we got there at like 10 o'clock or something. We got there and we just like
10:15, and you were due on stage at 10, and you walked in at 10:15. And Matt just looked at you walking in with the brass and the banjos and the double bass and the mandolin. And he just looked at me and I was like, just do what you can. And then within like 15 minutes, you guys were literally like, hey, we're Larry and His Flask, let's go. And we were like, okay. Like, fuck, they know how to set up. Because like for bands that wouldn't have known how to set up that fast, but you guys did. So between you and Matt, you got there. But yeah, it was
touch and go.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, it was for sure.
That's
like
impressive.
Just a kickoff, man, of kind of in the vein of all of the other shenanigans we'd already been doing. But it was just like, okay, let's fucking do this on a different continent.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a blast.
There are like 6 of you in the band, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, there's 6 for a long time and then it's 5 now.
And you still managed to set everything up in 15 minutes.
Yeah, somehow. And on gear we never used before too. Like, we're just like,
I think Matt had already laid cables. I think the support had finished.
Oh, okay.
So Matt just started laying cables, and he was like, "Well, I've seen videos. I think they're gonna need this. And I think they're gonna need this."
Yeah, maybe.
So
he had,
these
like,
guys
the
just walked on
rider.
stage, and Jesse was like, "Is this for me?" And Ian was like, "Is this for me?" And Matt was like, "Yeah, you plug in there. You plug in there. We're good. Let's go." And it was just
Maybe it didn't sound the best at the first.
It was fine.
song,
It was still amazing.
Worked out.
I think the one thing we hadn't taken into account was the drum kit, because obviously Jamin doesn't play a standard drum kit.
Yeah.
So we'd set a standard drum kit up, and Jamin just walked on and just picked up the kick drum and was like,
it.
no, this, and this, not this. Let's go.
Crazy, man.
Yeah.
Because that is the other cool thing about you guys. Like, you have your stand-up drummer, like, right center stage. Like, I've never seen that before. How did that come about?
It kind of just developed from playing on the street. Like, that's
right.
Like a brief history of the band. We started, like, we were still in high school. I was like 16. Even before that, Jamin and I kind of started the band, and then Ian joined. We were all like 16, 17, just like high school homies. And we just started playing punk rock. Like, Jamin was drumming, like sitting down, and then we got another drummer to take over his spot, and he was just like kind of like gnarly, like punk rock singer dude. And then like 4 or 5 years of that version of the band, our drummer at the time quit. And then we kind of forced Jamin back onto the drums. We like tried a few different drummers out, and then we're just like, dude, just fucking, you should just play the drums again. But at that point I like was playing upright a lot more than electric. And I switched to upright, and Ian switched to acoustic guitar. And then we invited our friends Andrew and Kirk to play mandolin and banjo, and they never even played those instruments before. They were just like, I think I can play it. And Andrew in particular, like, that dude just like picks up any instrument and it sounds like pretty fucking cool. Like, in a few minutes, you're like, okay, you're the banjo player. And we just started playing on this, like, busking on the streets and touring. Like, we would go on tours of like California and Arizona and Texas and stuff with like basically no shows booked. We just show up at like open mics and set up and go fucking ape shit and play like 3 songs, and then go like play a house party and play on the street.
Just anywhere you could.
Yeah, it just kind of started like from him being like up front, having to be right next to everybody, and like Ian would just play the guitar to his ear because there'd be no amp, so he could actually hear it and play acoustic. And then it just kind of when we got to a point where we were playing on stages again, we just like, well, I guess he's just in the front line with everybody else. Yeah.
It works though. Like, it just works for you guys.
Yeah, most of the time. Sometimes it definitely throws sound engineers off sometimes, and there was one time we played a festival in somewhere in Holland, and it was like a punk fest. I forgot what it was called, and this sound engineer was so stressed out by the banjos and everything, and like he was literally like pulling his hair out of his head. At one point, he's like, ah, ah. And he didn't understand English very well, and he was just like super upset about it. But just like, whatever, turn up the amps.
Yeah, man, you're probably working with sound engineers that don't even know what a banjo is half the time. Like, if it's not an Ibanez in a Marshall, like, don't know what it is.
Right. They're like, do you need that? They're like, what? Yeah.
Because it's funny, because you're like, musically and instrumentally, your sound is like super chaotic, I guess, frenetic, just super high energy and fast. But then like in the background you have these like super tight vocal harmonies. Was that just organic as well? Did it just kind of happen that you knew your voices went together, or is that something you had to perfect, or what?
Yeah, it definitely took a lot of perfecting. But I think it was naturally was there, like in a rough version when we started
Yeah,
playing acoustic, and we're like, but then we really spent hours and hours and hours of just sitting in a room, like working like specifically on the vocals to a point where they were really tight and like worked really
yeah,
well together.
that's cool. Yeah, you can tell for sure. Like it's quite a cool contrast between, yeah, these polished vocal harmonies and just crazy songs behind them kind of thing.
Thrashy shit, yeah.
Yeah. So you were saying earlier that like you all kind of went to high school together. Like, is that your connection, like your friends, or is there like a
Yeah,
Kings of Leon vibe? You got like family stuff
yeah.
going on as well, or?
So the drummer is my brother, Jamin. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, we kind of like started the idea of the band. But then Ian was like a good friend that we played, jammed with, and played in different bands with. Anyway, and Andrew and Kirk, they were in this hardcore band called Zombie Copilot that would like open
Great
for
name.
us when we were still punk band. And then they had kind of broken up. And when our drummer left, we invited them to play with us. And Dal, the kind
Oh,
of
okay.
like Rasputin looking guitar player,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he, he was like a good high school friend too. Like us four, Dal, Jamin, obviously my brother, and Ian, myself, we all went to the same high school in this smaller town next to Bend. And then the other two guys were like grew up in Bend, and we just ended up like jamming together and kind of there. We at one point we had like 10 or 12 people in our band, like
Oh,
when
no
we were just
way.
playing
So
on the street. But then people like when we were like got more serious about touring and stuff, like people dropped off and some personalities clashed and stuff, and it kind of just
yeah,
locked in as six for a long time.
the Six is like a small band for you guys. You're used to a lot
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. Yeah, it got condensed a little bit, but still a big
Yeah.
band.
Because logistically, that must be hard sometimes, right? Like, how does that work with like vans and hotel, like even money? Do you just have to like split
Oh,
everything six
yeah.
ways, or?
For years we were like there was no money. Like we would tour for like 2 or 3 months and come home and be like, "Here's $100." Like, "Here's $100." I was like, "What the fuck
A
are we
hundred
gonna do
bucks
with
and
$100?"
some memories. That's all you get.
Yeah, a lot of memories, and we survived on the road, but yeah, it definitely, and it's still. I mean, even now, like even when we get bigger paying gigs, we're still like if we were a three-piece band, we'd be like own our own houses and stuff probably. But
Yeah.
you
If only we were a trio.
yeah, exactly. But but I mean, as now we've kind of all like stepped away from the band quite a bit, and we're all kind of doing our own like solo projects and stuff. Especially, I mean, obviously right now.
Yeah, it's just, oh, he's gone again. Hopefully he'll come back.
What the actual fuck?
Every time you come back, you're just like, oh, don't ask, don't ask.
I'm sorry, dude.
It's all right. It's all good.
It's all choppy.
How?
Do you guys edit these? I guess.
Yeah, I'll just cut it out. I might leave one in
Okay.
just for humor.
I'll come back all like, oh.
We were talking earlier about like you guys have a bunch of influences and genres and stuff all mashed in. Like, is there any genre left that you want to incorporate? Like, is it going to be like a hip hop Larry and His Flask track at some point, or?
I mean, like we've definitely had like been at shows where like we've been sharing the bill with like rappers and hip hop people and been like, "Yo, come bust a verse or
Yeah,
like freestyle or whatever." But I don't know. It it could happen.
could happen. The door's open.
Yeah, the door's but
Sick.
yeah, it's like we just don't want to go. We don't want to get like too cheeseball. It's
Yeah,
like we don't want to just do it for the sake of doing it. If
for the
it
sake of
doesn't, if
novelty.
it sounds, yeah, exactly. If it sounds like it's like I'm sure some people look at the band and feel like it's kind of novelty anyway. But it all our influences came together pretty naturally. Like we grew up with families playing bluegrass and country music. Like Ian's dad was a songwriter through the 70s and played all through like the Midwest and Montana and Michigan. Like he was even like hop trains and like just with his guitar, and was like kind of lived that life. And my brother and I, our family are like bluegrass musicians in Canada. Kind of like
so you really
we had a cousin that was it was kind of around us always anyway. And so that taking those influences seemed kind of natural. And like in our rebellious years, we really got into punk rock and stuff. And so we gravitated to that. But when we got a little bit older, we started digging back into the roots of it, like really listening to like Woody Guthrie and Bob Dylan and the some of those folk songwriters and stuff, and started taking more influence from them and trying to just adapt it to with our influence of punk and rock and roll and the stuff that was already like in our family anyway.
You're talking about songwriting and stuff. I just listening to your back catalog, would you agree that Ebb and Flow is probably a bigger song, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like on Spotify, it's had some crazy like millions of streams.
Yeah, it's like 4 million.
Yeah,
I think most of them are me.
3 million.
Yeah, there probably is like 4 million, and it's all like 10 different people.
But I was going to say, like, because people in our kind of types of music, we don't really get mainstream radio play and stuff. So why do you think Ebb and Flow is connected with people so much?
I think it's just I think it's the message, like maybe the instrumentation too, but it's very relatable to most folks, and just the flow of life being, death and rebirth, and it's, I don't know. I can't really say why.
For me, as someone who super relates to that song and relates it to losing my brother, it's almost a positive way. It almost like makes you take a positive from something. Yeah. Because it does, like, it totally concentrates your mind on the fact that, there is an ebb and a flow. Yeah. And it for me, it's like, I don't know, Jesse knows this because they played the pub on like the first anniversary of my brother dying, and they played it and I got super emotional, but in a good way. And it kind of forces you to understand that death is a thing that happens to everyone, instead of like, it takes you out of your grief and puts it in a bigger world picture of this is the ebb and the flow of life, and this is just how it is, and it concentrates your mind and gets you through things. Speaking personally, that's why I think it resonates with me so much.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think to anyone that's lost someone, it's probably a very similar like thing, that this is takes you out of your grief and makes you see the bigger picture,
forces you to find a silver lining.
Yeah.
Right. And it connects us, like, to know that, we all go through this. Like, we're all, it's like, we all feel this pain at different times. And like, I'm not alone in this.
Not just me feeling it.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. When you wrote it, or how did it come about even?
Ian wrote, he wrote the lyrics and the basic like song progression and structure, and then kind of brought it to us. And I'm not even sure, like, I know at this time, my dad was going through, had terminal cancer and was going through chemo and was kind of on his last legs. And I don't know if that's where Ian got the inspiration or where exactly he pulled that from, but.
Yeah. And when you wrote it, like, did it feel different? Like, did it feel like this is good? Like, I'm proud of this, or was it just kind of another song?
No, we like, it was definitely at that point, it was like the most like intensive progression. Like, there's the most parts to it. Yeah. It wasn't just like 3 chords or 4 chords or whatever. And we always like enjoyed playing it. But no, I don't think anybody really thought it was gonna like become what it is. Like, and we didn't have, like you said, we didn't have, like, there wasn't any mainstream radio play or any backing in that sense. So we put it out on a small independent label out of San Francisco called Silver Sprocket Bicycle Club. And like we kind of, I think there was some push, but like it all kind of just happened naturally. And it didn't go from like releasing it and then 4 million plays. It's like,
no,
that's been 10 years of Spotify.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a good thing
for sure,
because it's got longevity. It's not just a catchy tune that people are going to forget about in 6 months. It's got it's got longevity. It's just an amazing song.
Well, in 10 years, that's going to be a completely different generation of people listening and liking the song now from when it was first born or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
It's cool, like songs, they kind of take on the life of their own. You don't really know what it's going to be or how it's going to, you might have an idea, and I'm sure that, the pop folks, they have more of an idea because they formulated a certain way. And
true.
If you got those dollars behind it, it's,
board meetings and writers and stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But this is like, we just play this song on the street corner for like 10 years and then now people like it. That's cool. That's cool.
Two different ways of doing it, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we'll call it the day there, I think. Like, we don't want to kind of take up too much of your time. Thanks so much for doing it, though. This has been sick.
Yeah, thank you guys
so much.
So good to see you. I hope everything.
Where can people kind of find out more about you before we leave?
Instagram is a good spot, just at Jeshua Marshall. And then I've been I challenged myself kind of at the end of last year to write a song every single day.
Oh wow!
So I've been trying to, like, when you asked me earlier if I was an early riser, like I try to wake up around like 4 or 5 every morning and just write a song before I do anything else.
So I thought I woke you up when I sent that message earlier, but you were like already way into a song.
Yeah. I already finished this. I was like, I had to shorten it. Just got 2 verses. Because I wanted to like be here on time, and then when I was like messing up,
I hope that 3rd verse wasn't going to be gold, and I stole it from you.
You ruined it.
No.
But no, I mean, I'm just trying to like keep in the practice of keep the creativity flowing, and so I try to like maybe like once or twice a week, like post one of like just record on my phone, post a video of that song on my Instagram. And then Spotify is a great place I have 2 singles out now, and the next one comes out on the 30th of this month.
Awesome.
And Facebook, of course, but.
Sick, man. Thank you so much again.
Thanks, Jesse. I can't wait till you can come and visit again.
I know. We want to see you face to face.
As soon as I can, I'm buying a ticket, man.
Yeah. You can stay with me. We'll just book you a UK tour and you just stay with us and we'll just drive you around.
Okay. I'm 100% down. Should have an album out by then. So.
Awesome.
Sick.
Cool.
Good to see
awesome.
you.
You guys have a good day.
You too. See you soon. Bye.
Bye. Peace.
Hello again, you faithful few that made it to the end of the episode. We love you. We do. And there's just 2 things we wanted to say that we're trying to do at the pub at the moment, trying to make different uses of the space. Essentially and honestly, to try to survive this period of weird lockdown that seems to never end. Firstly, we're doing a cinema club every Sunday, socially distanced cinema. If you get on our Facebook page, you can vote for which film you want to see, and then we are offering out the space in the pub every weekday as an office space. So if you're bored of your usual cubicle, if you're lucky enough to even get back in the cubicle, or if you're bored of just working at home, come down to the pub and work with us instead. We got Wi-Fi, we got coffee, we got snacks, we got all sorts, and it's a pretty nice vibe, if I say so myself. Thanks for any support. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making it to the end of the episode, and we will see you next time. Bye.